think people who lived in the 1800s had a funny sense of humor. They would do odd things. And manipulate photographs to make something humorous. But I think living back then, people had a lot of fun. I found out that golf was one of the leading sports. Men and women enjoyed it. If you stay tuned to the end of this video, you'll see a short movie clip of a very excellent golfer and a very brave man. Today's newspaper is full of jokes that they thought was funny back then. Let me know if you think they're funny today by commenting below. Let's read together the Gettysburg newspaper called the Gettysburg Compiler, dated July 6, 1897. In a streetcar was an aged Irishman who held a pipe in his mouth. The conductor told him he could not smoke, but he paid no heed. Presently, the guard came into the car, and with a show of irritation, "Didn't I tell you couldn't smoke in this car?" "Well, I'm not smoking." "You've got a pipe in your mouth." "So I have me feet in me boots," replied Pat, "but I'm not walking." Evolution. When Esmeralda got her wheel and first began to ride, she wore a long and graceful skirt that was her joy and pride. But soon her equanimity received a dreadful check. Rude Boreas took that graceful skirt and wrapped it round her neck. She gathered all her mental force to solve this monstrous riddle. She lengthwise cut her riding skirt exactly in the middle. She shortened it, and then did sew a seam on either side, and in her new divided skirt she proudly forth did ride. But when she'd worn it just a week, she heard a dreadful rumor. Divided skirts had lately been succeeded by the bloomer. She put a wide elastic band in the hem above the knee, which made as neat a bloomer as one would wish to see. But to her most aesthetic eye, it really seemed distasteful. The way those bloomers flopped about was shocking and disgraceful. So she took them to a tailor, who fitted, sewed, and pressed, and now she rides in knickerbocker, as beauteous as the rest. Something whizzed by, a minglement of steel spokes and red bloomers. "What is that there?" asked Uncle Hiram, withdrawing his gaze from the high buildings to look after the vision. "That's the new woman," answered his nephew. "The new woman? Looks like the old boy." Suspicious. Gentleman in railway train. "How did this accident happen?" Guard. "Someone pulled the bell and stopped the train, and the boat express ran into us. It will take 5 hours to clear the line for us to go ahead." Gentleman. 5 hours? I was to be married today." Guard, a married man, says, "Look here, are you the chap who stopped the train?" Mrs. Boredom. "How do you find the chicken soup, Mr. Boarder?" Mr. Boarder. "I have no difficulty in finding the soup, madam, but I am inclined to think that the chicken will be able to prove an alibi." You have a beautiful face, but your nose. In this day and age, attention to your appearance is an absolute necessity. If you expect to make the most of your life, Not only should you wish to appear as attractive as possible for your own self-satisfaction, which is alone well worth your efforts, but you will find the world in general judging you greatly, if not wholly, by your looks. Therefore, it pays to look your best at all times. The new nose shaper corrects ill-shaped noses. Wheelman overtaking another. "Hello, Bloggs, old man. I didn't know you got in for cycling. How did you get on?" Bloggs, wearing a worried look. "Oh, that's all right, old chap. What's troubled me is how the deuce am I going to get off?" Here's an article that I think people would probably do today. People must talk. He was carrying a long pole around which a slender line was wrapped, and in one hand he had a can that evidently contained bait. Presently he met a man. "Hello," said the man. "Are you going fishing?" "Yep," he replied and passed on. After a while he met a boy. "Hi!" the boy yelled. "You going fishing, ain't you?" "Yep," he answered, and proceeded upon his way. An equestrian overtook him and reined in his charger long enough to ask, "Well, are you going fishing?" "Yep," he returned, and still kept on. Presently there appeared upon the horizon a man in a buggy, and in due time he smiled pleasantly and said, "Ah, going fishing, I suppose?" The man with the rod and line and bait stopped, looked at his questioner for a moment, and then asked, "Do I look as if I were going to a strawberry festival or anything of that kind?" Then, without waiting for an answer, he climbed a fence and slunk along secluded paths as if he had been escaped culprit, and while he fished he said to himself, "I wonder if people ask such questions in order to gratify their curiosity, or just because they think they are humorous and original." "My task in life," said the pastor complacently, "consists in saving young men." "Ah," replied the maiden, with a soulful longing, "save a nice-looking one for me." Wedding, birthday, and engagement rings receive special attention. We have special arrangements with the manufacturer. Therefore, we can serve you promptly and with any odd style, shape, or weight at a much smaller cost than many other houses. John L. Weaver, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Many think, when the Creator said to woman, "In sorrow shalt thou bring forth children," that a curse was pronounced against the human race. But the joy felt by every mother when she first presses to her heart her babe proves the contrary. Danger and suffering lurk in the pathway of the expectant mother, and should be avoided that she may reach the hour when the hope of her heart is to be realized in full vigor and strength. Mother's friend so relaxes the system and assists nature that the necessary change takes place without nausea, headache, nervous, or gloomy foreboding of danger, and the trying hour is robbed of its pain and suffering. As so many happy mothers have experienced, nothing but Mother's Friend does this. Don't be deceived or be persuaded to use anything else.
Funny World Science Report. One of these 3-year-old horses was raised on plain old alfalfa, while the other horse was raised on the new Miracle Vitamin XXX. And look at the difference. The sleek, compact Vitamin XXX horse is a great improvement over his big, sloppy cousin standing alongside.
You can't sell me a cheap Swiss watch when I can buy the Atlas watch, made same as the Elgin at Blotcher's the jeweler, with a good chain from $2.75 to $4, according to case. No peddlers allowed here. If I want a cheaper watch than the Atlas, I will buy the trump. Blotcher's price has always been $2.50 with a good chain. These watches are guaranteed to give perfect satisfaction. C. A. Blotcher, jeweler, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Mrs. Neighborly, I haven't seen your parents for ever so long. Little Fanny, Mama has got a little baby and cannot come out. Mrs. Neighborly, and what has your papa got? Little Fanny, he's got 6 months and he can't come out either. Treetop, our debating society has been all winter arguing the question, is marriage a failure? Hayrick, what'd they decide? Treetop, 'tain't decided yet, but them meetin's had growed a bigger crop of engagements than any singing school we ever had. Can't you help a poor fellow who's starving, ma'am? Certainly. Here's a pair of false teeth that belong to my husband. Take them and may heaven bless you. Smart tourist in New Hampshire, while cobblestones and granite are the principal crops. I say there, friend, what are you building a wire fence around that field for? There isn't anything in there that any animal could possibly eat. Farmer, huh? Reckon I know what I'm about, sonny. I'm putting up this fence for fear some of my cows might stray in there and starve to death. We sell several different makes of wheels. We hire first-class wheels which are always in good condition and at moderate prices. We repair broken wheels and buy second-handed ones. We are headquarters in the bicycle business in Gettysburg, S. J. Smith, Center Square. Reverend Edwin Hale Delk delivered an address in Trinity Lutheran Church, Hagerstown, last Wednesday night. The abuse of the wheel. He said the chief abuses consisted in immoderate riding, in the purchase of wheels by people who cannot afford it, by riding on Sunday, and men and women together taking long rides into the country without chaperones. He cited medical authority to prove that riding cramped the apex of the lungs and introduced consumption, and that appendicitis was also induced by riding a wheel, especially among children and young girls. He stated that a physician in Bellevue Medical College, New York, said appendicitis patients had increased 50% since cycling was common, and that a majority of the patients at his institution were devotees of the wheel. People with heart disease, the Reverend Mr. Delk said, should never ride a wheel. The preacher pointed out the true uses of the wheel. He was among the first riders of the wheel and still rides. Get a girl, get her consent, get a license, get married. Then send us your name and address and we will send you the compiler 1 year free as a wedding present. This offer is good only to those who reside in Adams County and to those who have married or will marry in 1897. A postal card will do the work. Address it to The Compiler, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Watch. Your partner will love you. Try this one. This is one sure way to get ahead in the game if you're not careful.